So the section begins with Savitri awaking to the Samanas chant. She joins those tribes who have listened to the call of the Samana, and she also in a hurry hastens to join them. We have seen the Samana. To name him in the story of Savitri is Ashwapati himself. It is to his call she is coming up and joining, and she is now ready to do what he wants her to do, you see. Human Savitri, you see. Savitri joined the human tribes. She accepts all the limitations, all the conditions, all the restrictions of mortality, the suffering, the pain, the pang, all those things. She accepts them, and although she is divine, she is very human here in the sense that she participates in the suffering of man himself. Unless she participates dynamically in the process of mortality, you cannot get a solution for mortality. Therefore, while participating, she yet keeps her divinity intact. That contact she never loses. There is something in her which is always in contact with her divine nature, with her divine self, you see. In fact, it is only on the basis of that unassailable contact with her source that she can do her work here in mortality. Otherwise, it is impossible, you see, not by human things alone, you see. So, that is the first condition we have got here. She is the divine, she has accepted the mortality, she participates in the mortal condition, yet always keeps the contact with the divine. In other words, what the poetry says, time's message was not for her. She always listened to the message of eternal time, of eternity, of the Supreme Himself. But at the same time, she is in time to do the work in time. Although the message of time is not for her, she is working in the process of time, still keeping contact with eternity. That is the most important thing, you see. Now, when she has come as a divine goddess here in mortality, she brought wonderful gifts of the spirit to man. Love, beauty, joy, oneness, sweetness, harmony, power, strength, light. She brought everything and she gave to man very lavishly, she disbursed them very freely to everybody here. But the problem was mortality is not ready, earth is not ready to receive her gifts. And instead of acknowledging those gifts, instead of saying thank you for all those things, what she receives from man, from we stupid creatures, is she receives what she receives. She is receiving scorn, hatred. She is offered the crown of thorns, and she has to suffer all the conditions here in the mortal state itself. You see. Now, this is unfortunate. Perhaps that is also necessary. Unless she goes through that process, she cannot really do her work also, you see. Savitri has to understand that thing also, that aspect, you see. So, she is in she is trapped in the earthly jinn, as he says, in the snare, in the process, in the DNA, in the whole working of earth. She is trapped in that thing completely, you see. She has to accept that thing, but she does not grudge that thing at all. She won't grudge that thing at all, you see, because she has her work to do. Her contact is still always there with the Supreme. Why she is here for, what for she is here, that does not go away at all in any case from her, you see. In fact, while she is here, she is also carrying with her the anguish of the gods. The gods have concern for us. I am quickly running through what we have done. The anguish of the gods. Gods have concern for us. Gods are not there sitting idly and enjoying the heavenly bliss for themselves alone. They have a work, they have got an assignment to do there. They had to do certain things there. Unless those things are done there, things cannot happen here also. So it is a kind of a multiple preparation to change things upon earth. The gods had to do some work and it has to be done. Now the gods therefore have some concern all the while. What is the concern for them? Yes, man is suffering, man is under the grip of death, of falsehood and all that kind of a thing, and they have to do some work for that kind of a thing. So they have constant anguish, but man is not ready. Man has not opened out to those possibilities yet. His nature is too inconscient to receive the gifts they are going to offer to them. Now, Savitri is carrying that anguish of the gods also in her soul. Obviously, what the gods are concerned about man, Savitri is also concerned about man, but she is concerned perhaps in a much more intense manner than the gods, because the gods are concerned from there. While entering here into the process of mortality, living in the suffering world, and then having that concern is a different thing than concern from there. So her concern, her anguish is in that sense is more powerful, more effective also in a certain sense. Unless the divine takes a form of mortal or the mortal, he cannot solve the problem of mortality. And he has to suffer, he has to undergo through all these things. So Savitri, while she is carrying the anguish of the gods in her soul, she is something doing much more than what the gods are doing, you see. And in that whole process, Savitri sees that the entire cosmic dread is with her. It is not her personal dread, personal fear, personal anguish. It is the dread of the cosmos, of the world, which is presenting itself to her. The cosmic dread is Savitri's dread, you see. It is much more than, in that sense, the dread felt by the gods, you see, in that sense, you see. Her cosmic, Savitri's dread is cosmic dread, you see. She has to bear. In other words, the problem of man cannot be disentangled from the problem of the cosmos. All the forces of nature are working on man. So if you want to solve the problem of man, you have to really spread your network, so to say, wide enough to catch all those other things also, the cosmic possibilities which are there. So the cosmic dread is Savitri also. But at the same time, while the cosmic dread is Savitri's dread, Savitri's concern is for each and every creature here. She has the golden key in her hand to see the oneness of all the souls. Her love is the love of the universal mother. The universal mother's love for her children, it is that love Savitri is having. It is the oneness of all the souls Savitri sees. And therefore, while the cosmic dread is there, she also sees the love spread everywhere. And it is that love which can really bring out something and do something for Savitri also. So, she has got that flaming key of ecstasy in her hand, of oneness. The cosmic load is there, and with that key, then she is doing her work constantly here. Now, Savitri is doing work here. What is the work she is doing here? She is actually doing here the work of the immortal, the immortal's unshared work is what Savitri is doing. Immortal is doing for man something, but that work is not shared here on earth. So unless somebody comes and shares it here and does something here, that is not effective at all. So Savitri is actually engaged with that universal mother's love, with the immortal's unshared work upon earth. And that really then becomes a powerful means for her to tackle every situation here, you see. And with that, Savitri is making an advance, so to say. And what does she say then? She sees that she has the memory, so to say, of the scary event which is going to occur in her life. The scary, the forbidding event of the death of her lover. Death of a lover. That is the dread which is there in her hand. Means the entire cosmic load, cosmic misery, cosmic thing is quintessence in Savitri's misery of that moment, and she is now waiting, so to say, for the scary moment of her lover's death, you see, on that sense. You see. And Savitri has to prepare for that, she has to away here. But while she was doing all these things for long ages, eons, since the beginning of her appearance here upon earth, she was lying in original somnolence. She was not awake to the work she has to do here. She was in somnolence, listless, not active to carry on the work for which she has come here. She is not aware of that thing at all until now. In other words, a long evolutionary process had to undergo by the working of nature herself before Savitri steps into the process and takes it forward. Means nature has to carry out certain work, Prakriti has to build up the evolutionary foundation so that Savitri can step in and then make it forward, make it move forward. That is the original somnolence in which Savitri was lying all along. All these eons, Savitri was there, you see. Now, suddenly, she awakes out of that somnolence because the moment she puts her hand on her bosom, she finds that there is some ache there in her heart. She does not know where from that ache has come, why it is there, for what purpose it is there. She has no knowledge yet of that ache in her heart. You see, she finds it is the body's voiceless call which summons her to her work now. You see, body is voiceless call, not mind, not vital, but the very physical. It is that which is demanding now Savitri's attention. That look, there is the deep ache at the root of things, and she has to attend to that ache. What is that ache? That ache is kind of reflected in the death of her husband. In the death. And it is that ache now, that pain which is there in her heart, she has to find out that thing. And out of that somnolence, suddenly the memory doors open out. The memories casements, the magic casements of kids, they open out and she goes back to the past, to the very beginning, where from that ache has come, that pain has come. What is the origin? She is sort of moving back in time to find out, trace the origin of that ache in time itself. She is actually going back to the Big Bang moment of time, where from things have started, and the whole thing has begun from that. She is going back. So, in other words, Savitri's occult work is actually first concerned with the occult past, the depth of the past. And if she has to solve the problem of this creation, she must go back to the origin of this creation and see the trace where from all the difficulties have arisen, and she has to tackle them. Now, that is something remarkable. To deal with the past, see, that only great yogi can do it. Deal with the past. Savitri is a super yogini, and she is going back to the origin of things to see the origin of the past itself, where from, what is the past, what is the ache, what is the problem. She finds that at the roots of life, there is the evil, there is the pain, there is the suffering. At the root of life itself, there is pain. So, unless that root of life is tackled, that pain is tackled, that evil is tackled, she cannot solve the problem at all. So, she is going back to the original cause of that evil which is present at the root of life, and she has to tackle there, you see. So, Savitri is awakening to that kind of a thing. The moment she awakes to that possibility, to that thing, what does she see? She at once notices that, yes, at that moment of time, she sees three disputants: earth, love, and doom. Earth, the center of evolution. Love, the divine presence itself in the inconscience. And doom, the hostile force which will not allow things to move forward. They are all present there, and there is a constant struggle there. Now it is from that point onward, now Savitri has to carry out the work. This is what we are going to see here. In terms of his occult necessities, Savitri has to keep that knowledge. You see, now here we are talking of Savitri knows the hour of her husband's death. She is not going to reveal it to anybody at all. She is keeping entirely to herself. You see. Savitri, of his occult necessities, Savitri has to keep that knowledge of the death of her husband entirely to herself. Entirely to herself. She keeps it so. In the moment of her soul's despair, in his grim encounter with death and fear, no cry breaks from her lips, no call for aid bursts from her heart. Obviously, see what capacity that lady must be having. She sees the entire problem there, the calamity of her life, and she is not going to listen. She is absolutely passionless, so to say. Nor is there any aid available, neither from men. No one, nobody can help her in such a moment. Neither from men, nor from nature, nor from the gods. See, when Savitri is meeting death, only nature below and gods above, nature soul below and gods above, they were the only spectators of that mighty strife between Savitri and death, Yama. Nature soul below and gods above, they were the only mighty strife. Savitri alone, neither from men nor from nature, but nobody can help her. See. Savitri has to hide that future even from her those whom she loves. Obviously, this is an imperative. Not to know the future is an act of supreme grace for us. Really, it is an act of supreme grace for us. You see. But for the prepared, it brings the power that can change the future itself. Savitri had that power. Therefore, she has given that knowledge. Actually, in the Puranic stories, there is one more instance when King Parikshit had a knowledge of his death. See, something happened and he received a curse. And the curse was that after 1 week he is going to die. And that curse cannot be erased at all. It has to happen. So he had the knowledge that after 1 week he is going to die, absolutely. So he engages himself in yajna, in his worship and that kind of a thing, and then he accepts the death. Well, in a certain sense, the convict who receives a death sentence, he knows that death is there, he can't help it. I don't know in what manner he prepares, but those souls who had taken, those convicts who had taken upon them the holy task, the noble task of defending, for instance, their nation, they gladly receive the moment of death, and with the Gita in their hand, they go up to the gallows and sacrifice themselves. They keep on chanting. Those were the people who were present in the last generation, a couple of generations ago here in India, you see. They had received the death sentence. They are going to die. And then they were chanting Gita all the while in the room and all that kind of a thing. And when they are going to the gallows, they were carrying the Gita in their hand and then sacrificing themselves. That is a great moment, you see. But that is a small thing compared with what Savitri is saying here. Savitri is a different thing. Savitri has to hide that future even from those whom she loves, obviously. This is an imperative. Not to know the future is an act of supreme grace. Now, there is one problem which troubles me at this moment. And the problem is, see, Savitri alone in that place knows about the arrival of Satyavan's death. The moment, that noon, that forenoon noon, etc., etc. She alone knows. The rishis in the hermitages, her parents-in-law, her husband, nobody knows about that thing at all, and therefore Savitri is alone. But My trouble is, my problem is, yes, Savitri of course is alone there, but her parents also knew. Her parents also knew. Her parents. Savitri, Savitri in the entire forest, in the hermitages, etc., was alone about the coming moment of Satyavan's death. She is not going to reveal it to anybody at all. But the problem is, what was the psychological state of her parents who also knew about the death of Savitri's husband at this particular moment? Because they were all present. Narad has told to all the three, Savitri's parents and her, Savitri's reckoning she is doing here. Now, what was the psychological condition of her parents? That is not known to anybody at all, you see. In what way they were also kind of preparing themselves for this moment. Savitri has gathered the force, etc., etc., is all right, but Ashwapati, the queen, mother queen, how they were receiving that moment, that is not coming out at all. Well, that would have been a different kind of a story altogether, you see. But my feeling is that obviously they knew it and they are not going to keep quiet. They are in their own way doing yajna, tapasya, worship, or whatever you want to call it, to receive the divine power, to give all the help to Savitri. You see, they are not going to just keep quiet there, you see. Her parents, Ashwapati particularly the yogi, and obviously her mother also, because she has such love for her daughter. I mean, she is not going to be quiet. She will be engaged in some kind of a tapasya or worship or yajna or whatever it is, to see that the necessary help goes to Savitri at that particular moment of time. Obviously, you see. Now, that would have been a kind of a digression in the main narrative of Savitri, but I think we can surmise it that way, you see. Here is a long forenoon and fatal morn. I told you, long forenoon and fatal morn. Yes, fatal morn, the day of death is coming. Long forenoon, that is important. Long forenoon, it is not 1 year before, it is not from the moment Narad has told, long belongs to something more than that. It is right from the beginning of the, when Savitri felt the body's ache, the voiceless call of the body when she felt, it is from that moment the long forenoon noon begins. The long forenoon noon was predicted, was fixed at that moment. The moment Savitri has put her hand on her bosom at that moment. And this morn is going to bring a noon that could be an exceptionally different kind of a noon in which could be locked the entire fate of the creation. Obviously, this is a noon. It is a question of do or die moment, you see. But even in this moment, our souls grimaced despair. Forenoon, grimaced despair. That moment is coming. Kshana. Even in his forbidding rendezvous with death and fear, Savitri is alone. And no cry breaks from her lips. And no call for it goes from her passionate yet calm heart. Savitri, she is calm and courage keeps her mute. Such courage she has got, she remains silent. She does not speak a word at all, She has got the strength, courage, The strength of her calm is in courage. The strength of her courage is in calm. Even her humanity is half divine. Savitri always remains Savitri. Savitriness is an incontingent Savitriness. It does not depend upon conditions. Savitri remains Savitri irrespective of whatever conditions in which she is. That is her personality, incontingent. Savitri spirit open to the spirit in all. Her nature feels all nature as its own. That is the kind of a wonder. Her dread is one with the great cosmic dread. The universal mother's love is her. She has that widespread universality, a oneness, the necessary basis to attain the great work she has to do. Of her pangs, she makes a mystic, poignant sword, a sword to strike against the evil that there, the suffering roots of life. You see. Evil at life's suffering root, that is death. What is that evil at life's roots? Death. It is that she has to strike. Savitri is to do that unshared work of the immortal. The immortal is doing the work, but it is an unshared work. But that because it has remained unshared, she has to come here in mortality and share that work. Savitri is to do that unshared work of the immortal, and unlike him, she is going to do it by being in the mortal world. This unshared work is concerning the evil that afflicts roots of life. Evil which appeared when life entered into material objects. When did that evil occur? At the roots of life, there is the evil. When did that evil occur? That evil occurred when life, prana, entered into matter, into material objects. When life entered into material objects, the constitution of matter is such that the moment life enters into it, it throws an answer to life in the form of death. Therefore, if you want to really solve the problem of death, you have to go back to matter and change the constitution, the character of matter, so that it does not throw that kind of an answer to life, you see. Appeared when life entered into material objects. The immortal cannot do this work unless in mortality, Savitri shares it in the mortal condition. That is the imperative. Savitri rises to this immortal's unshared work, not in the world of immortality, but in the mortal world itself. In fact, that is the whole crux. Unless you do things here, nothing can happen. In the mortal world, where only it has got to be done. There is a realm which Savitri has accepted for her birth. See, Savitri is coming from the divine immortal world. Savitri is presently in the world of mortality. So she is a kind of a double creature. She is, in fact, this denizen of the immortal world. But she is immortal world. There is a realm which Savitri has accepted for her work. She has accepted it by being in it, in the mortal world. She has accepted it since the beginning of the earth, beginning of the mortal world, and there is a realm from which Savitri has come, the immortal world, the dynamic world. So these are the two realms. She has accepted this world. She actually belongs to the Brihat. Between these two realms, there is a deep cleft. There is separation between these two gaps. A hiatus is there between these two realms. And Savitri was lying there, prone, lying there for long eons, lying on the lap of Earth's original somnolence, that lassitude of inconscience. It is in that state Savitri was lying for a long time, lying in the state of inconscient lassitude, inert, forgetful of everything, remote, untouched by grief and care. You see, there is grief and all that thing, but she is in a state of somnolence, so she doesn't feel that thing at all. And grief present in her breast itself. She lay there unconscious on mind's verge, obtuse and tranquil like a stone and a star, dumb, quiet, and lowly in brightness, braving the frightening enormous depths and extensions of the night. Savitri is braving that thing, you see. But now she is lying in that cleft. She belongs to that. She is here. Between them there is a gap. She is now in a state of somnolence, and there she is here. But now memory has awoken up. Savitri stirs. Savitri has a sense of the surrounding, perception of things involved. Savitri moves like a mute shadow, a shadow which cannot speak, you see. She is moving in this mute shadow. She lays her hand upon her bosom and spots the close and lingering ache. That pain is there. She is spotting that old deep ache, an ache that has become natural to its place. She knows not why it is there, why that pain is there. She knows not that. She knows not whence it came, from where it has come. She knows not that. Because she is in the state of somnolence, she is waking up from that. The power that kindles mind is still away in Savitri. The torch of sense refuses to burn. Memory of the deep past has come back. So the windows have opened, and that past now Savitri is seeing. What does she see that? And Savitri become aware. Savitri become alert to the existential matters of mortality. The windows have opened, and Savitri is becoming alert now about mortality itself. The problems and issues that haunt mortality. Focused also to her mission. Savitri is also getting now alert to her mission. What she has to do, she is becoming alert to that. The ache in her has become instrumental to arouse this sense of commitment. She has to do some work. So that ache is in a way serving some purpose. That she has come here, she has a commitment to fulfill, and she must awake to it. There is her body's voiceless call, voiceless call. Silently the body is telling her, look, what are you doing for me? I am there suffering right from the beginning of the creation here. What are you doing for me? The body is asking that thing. She hears it distinctly. Savitri is experiencing, is not psychological. Savitri is experiencing that. It is not psychological. It is not mental. It is not vital. It is the very physical which is feeling and experiencing that. It is the physical which is asking that question to Savitri. The context is also the cosmic load. At once, a strong, far-winging spirit takes a flight backward in time. The moment that body's ache has come, that's the call of, she wants to go back. She wants to see, trace the cause, the origin of that thing, and she goes back in time. Spari takes a flight backward in time, back to the yoke of ignorance and fate, back to the labor and stress of mortal days. The seeds of sleep recede. She was asleep all along, but those seeds are now receding, withdrawing, going away. Means she is becoming more and more aware of all these things. And the pathway is cut to strange, similar dreams. She is seeing now the possibilities. It is the body's voiceless call which has quickened the spirit of Savitri. Body's voiceless call which has quickened the spirit of Savitri. Otherwise, she was lying in that original somnolence. So that is what has happened. The memory doors have opened, and this is what happened. You see, body that had all along remained unattended ever since the beginning. It is in the body, and it is for the body things had to happen. It is not for mind. It is not mind's problems and trouble. It is not vitals, emotions and passions and that kind of a thing. But the body's ache, that is the problem. And if something has to happen, it must happen for the body. Body opening to the possibilities of manifestation. That is the whole thing. Body opening to the possibilities of manifestation, to the wonders of manifestation in deep cells of the living body are crying, these deep cells. Yes, they are crying. What are you doing for me? Crying silently. They are waiting patiently for the glory of the Spirit that must be theirs. Obviously, why cannot be mine? The cells are asking to the voiceless call of the body. Savitri's answer is, Savitri answering to the body's call. What is the answer? Thou wast not born for death. You are not born for death, body. Thou wast not born for death. Now this is a line from, well, I am quoting actually Keats's poem, Nightingale. O bird, you are not born, O immortal bird, you are not born for death. Nightingale was not born for death, you see. Thou wast not born for death. Not at all. Thou wast not born for death. Thou wast born for the habitation of the beautiful and the true and the vast and the lordly. You are born for that, you are created for that. Ishavasyam, that is the Upanishad. Ishavasyam, this is the house of the Lord Himself. This body, this physical, it is here in this house of the physical. The divine has to come. You are born, you are made for that purpose, that God comes here and dwells in you. You are born. Savitri is telling to the body, thou wast born for the habitation of the beautiful and the true and the vast and the lordly, majestic, imperial, Ishavasyam. With it, Savitri perceives her house of nature, throwing its windows open, wide open, to reach delightful prospects that had from the start remained unknown, unexplored, untapped, prospects to the creative spirit's expression of the idea of force and idea of truth in living material world. The prospects of the spirit in the material world. It is for that you are born. Swiftly, Savitri is awakening to that kind of a reality. In other words, the body transformation is the mission of Savitri, essentially, you see. And that can be solved if the evil which is there at the root of life is knocked off. It comes down there. Swiftly, the darkened rooms of life are getting illumined. So suddenly she knows now what to do, what is her work, how to proceed. Darkened rooms are getting illumined. The hidden past is going to make sense, a far-reaching sense, reveal the significance. Memory is coming back. The memory, how things began at the beginning, at the big moment of time, the locked secrecies, the past, the deepest past, of that deep moment, those has started suddenly coming into perspective. Those secrets which are locked there, they started opening out. She's seeing their meaning, the significance, and started coming into reckoning. Yes, I have to attend to them. That is what Savitri is saying, that with that memory awakening. When mind and senses and life's instincts were listless, it was only the body's call that had forced the shut windows of memory to open. Body's call had opened the windows, you see. The body played its crucial role, its decisive part, and the windows opened, and the prospects came into view, and Savitri saw earth and love and doom struggling there. In the context of body's call, she sees these three disputants, the ancient disputant, the goddess who had their birth in the dim inconscient. All the three are born in the inconscient, the dim inconscient. Earth and love and doom. Earth was created as a center for certain activity in the inconscient. Love had plunged in the inconscient. Doom was born from inconscient. Therefore, they are inconscient born. See, all the three, dim, inconscient. Here were they wrestling in the night. These three, wrestling in the day after day in the night. The entire issue is now getting into clear, well-defined focus. The body's call has awakened Savitri. So that is the power of body. See, it is not the vital or the mental that cannot really summon you for this kind of a work, you see. So it is in the context of the body's call that Satyavan death is becoming inevitable, necessary, you see. When appeared the utter void, the divine had absented himself, disappeared from himself, appeared the primordial void. It is at that moment that the divine love plunged into it. That love assumed the name of Satyavan. So in that sense, divine love has plunged into the void. He is, in that sense, what the mother calls the avatar, permanent avatar in the inconscience. The carrier of truth, one who is truth. It is he who has to be relieved, the thick coverings laid over him by the void realm and the earth and the psychic being and an alchemic agent was created as a specific center of activity, a unique center of concentrate, the effort of evolution and higher manifestation. Opposing it stands the negative power of inconscience, that opposing all these things. It is the voiceless call of the body that is going to make Savitri rise to this tremendous occasion. You see, that is the significance. In fact, I will say the entire crux of epic Savitri lies in this particular phrase, the body's voiceless call. What is Savitri trying to convey to us is to find an answer for the body's voiceless call. The entire thrust is on the physical transformation. It is the voiceless call of the body, etc. It is to the summons of the body's ache that Savitri answers. In the person of Savitri, the physical nature has become responsive. The physical nature has become responsive. She perceives the doors opening out, doors for the greatness, the triple greatness to step in. The doors are opening out for what? For the greatness. Greatness, triple greatness, Satchidananda, Satchit Ananda. These are three greatnesses, so to say, in one. That great, for the greatness, the triple greatness to step in, Satchidananda. Time for that has come in the body's call. Time for that has come. Her house of nature feels an unseen sway. Yes, she feels, even her physical is now seeing that. Life's darkened rooms are getting lighted. In that light, Savitri sees the centrality of earth and love and doom. All the ancient struggle that has got to be settled at the destined place and at the destined hour, they are standing like giant wrestlers. They are standing like wrestlers, earth and love and doom, because they are born from inconscience. You see, wrestlers. Things have advanced to the point for the greatness to enter in. Greatness, Satchidananda, to enter in. These wrestlers, bound of the inconscience, in the context of the absolute last nothingness, first nothingness and last nothingness, the void, the involution, total illusion. The seedable void must wait for the seed to spring up. The seed is cast, the divine love has plunged, therefore it is seedable. Seedable void must meet the seed to spring up, to come up, flower up. The struggle is going to be a do or die battle. It has to be fought out. Either you win or you perish and disappear. You see, do or die battle. The old and disputants are poised to fight unprecedented question. What is the question they are facing? Or what is the fight for? The question is, the problem question is put to life. The point is, the original void must be emptied out of this question. That question is present in the void. Emptied out this question. The question put by death to life. Who are you? This is answer, asking that question to life. Who are you? What are you here for? Get out from here. You have no business to be present here. That is the question. Void must be emptied out of this question. The question put by death to life. That is the question we take out. Now, because he is there, he, the being, this love, because he is there in the inconscient, because love is there in the inconscient, his death is certain. He has taken that position. His death is certain. He must die to be free of the inconscience, to be free of the inconscious. That is the significant death of the being. That is the death. That is the significance of the death of Satyavan being. The second death. That is the second death. Satyavan's second. What was his first death? By the first death, he occasioned in the void the desirable inconscience. The divine plunged, descended into nutrition, became void. So it is the divine love who has become the void. That is his first death. He has become the opposite. He has emptied himself out. That is his first death. Now, out of that void, he has to come and die. That is his second death. Have you followed this thing? He must die to be free of the inconscious. That is the significant death of the being. His second death. By the first death, he occasioned in the void the desirable inconscience. He plunged, and therefore that is he sacrificed himself. He completely got lost himself totally. That is his first death. By the second and the last death, he will give rise out of inconscience, out of this void, an amazing creation of the spirit. Savitri's concern is with that second death of love. Savitri's concern with the second death of love. See. Crossing the prolonged, listless eons, Savitri has moved swiftly, rapidly through the several stages. What are this through the entire history of Savitri, the biography of Savitri? What is the biography of Savitri? Several stages of strange happenings and incidents. She had the key of oneness of all the souls with her. Oneness. She sees the universal mother's love is her love. Oneness. She has the key of oneness of all the souls. She has with her the love of the universal mother. She is sharing in the mortal world the immortal's unshared world. She has emerged out of the original somnolence. She is seeing the age-old inconscient-born disputants facing each other, those giant figures wrestling in the night. And now Savitri hears the voiceless call of the body. So this is the entire biographical background of Savitri till she hears the body's voiceless call. You see. Savitri has to work on the past. On the past. Because it is buried there. That evil is buried deep in the past. On the deepmost past, where things have started coming up. The occult fire must burn in it, in that past. The splendid fire, burn to cleanse it, that past has been purified. The evil is there, that past has been purified. It cleanses it of all the dross, the wrongs, burn to purify, so that it becomes spirit charged. The potentialities locked in it shall then start emerging in the past. The potentialities locked in the past, they will start coming. Agni Pavaka, Agni is the purifier. She has to burn there, she has to lit that kindle that fire in the past with the deeply buried memory coming back. Memory of the earliest events, earliest things that were there at the beginning of beginning. Savitri is saying two things. What does she say at the origin of things, at the beginning of time? What does she say? Two things. She sees that the inconscient born disputants, the three goddesses, earth and love and doom, the giant figures wrestling in the night, she sees them with the awakening. They have awakened to struggle and the pang divine. See, it is they who are now seeing the pang divine, earth and love and doom. It is they who are seeing the struggle, who are experiencing the pang divine. See, these three, awakened to the original creator's pang itself, they are feeling that, well, after all, this is the pang of the original creator himself. Being divine, this pang being divine, undoubtedly That pang is there with a purpose, functional. The pang is functional. It is designedly there. It is for a certain purpose that pang is there, designedly there. It is there in the process of inconscient manifestation. If it has to come out from inconscient, it has a purpose to serve there. The awakening of earth and love and doom, not to their pang of inconscience, but to the pang divine, is already something momentous. You see, that these three disputants are waking the pang divine, the God Himself is feeling the pang, and they are now experiencing that. So that is something already very remarkable, you see. These goddess awakening to the pang is a great early advance in the interminable progress of evolution. Evolution, you see, of evolution. The progression that has to pass through ignorance and suffering and falsehood and evil, and hence a pang in the transcendental enterprise. This is the enterprise of the Supreme Himself. You have to pass through that, you see. Savitri also sees the godlike pain staring into space. So she sees that these three goddesses are experiencing the pang divine. What does she also see? She sees godlike pain, God of pain Himself staring all around here and there. She sees two things. You see. Actually, we might read that passage, the original. It is good to read that. 2.35. All came back to her with the memory awakening. All came back to her, earth and love and doom. The ancient disputants encircled her like giant figures wrestling in the night. So, as far as Savitri is concerned, she sees all the three and they are encircling her. That is for Savitri. Then what happens? About these giant figures? About these giant, this goddess, these giant figures. The goddess from the dim inconscient born. These three are born from inconscient. The goddess from the dim inconscient born awoke to struggle and the pang divine. It is they who are awakening to the struggle and pang divine. You see. Pang divine. And so that is as far as the goddess are concerned. And then next moment. And in the shadow of a flaming heart, at the somber center of the dire debate, a guardian of the unconsoled appears, inheriting the long agony of the globe, a stone still figure of high and godlike pain, stared into space with fixed, regardless eyes. So Savitri, with the awakening of memory, she sees these three goddesses. She also notices that these goddesses are experiencing the pang divine. She also sees that the godlike pain himself is staring into space. A stone still figure of high and godlike pain stared into space, his fixed, regardless eyes that saw that pain, that saw grief's timeless depths, but not life's goal. He does not see that godlike pain, God of pain, sees grief but does not see the goal of life at all. So that is in that context we are seeing here. Savitri also sees the godlike pain staring into space with fixed, unseeing eyes. Eyes that see the timeless depths of grief but not the goal of life. This godlike pain is the inheritor of prolonged agony of this mortal creation and also the guardian of the unconsoled abyss. The unconsoled abyss. He is guarding, this God of pain is guarding this abyss of darkness. The infinite, what is that abyss? The infinite hollow with which has the spirit plunged, into which the spirit has plunged. That infinite hollow is a kind of valuable treasure house and needs to be guarded, and that is being done by the God of pain. This treasure, this infinite hollow is a kind of a treasure house and has to be guarded, and this God of pain is doing that. This godlike pain, the God of pain, He is indeed the God of bliss Himself. who is seated in the infinite hollow, in this void. It is He who is seated in the infinite hollow, God of bliss Himself. His thirst for bliss is insatiable and remains unappeased. So, howsoever you may feed Him, He remains unsatisfied. He, waiting for the daily oblations of Savitri's unwept tears, she is making a sacrifice constantly to Him, and He is not satisfied at all with that. Unwept tears, the mute grief she has been holding in her bosom. She is holding that grief because it is a cosmic grief she is holding in her bosom. Savitri's offering of unwept tears to Him has to go on. She must constantly worship Him. This God of pain, she must worship Him. Has to go on and on until the goal of life is seen. He does not see the goal of life, the God of pain, but unless he sees the life's goal, she must keep on offering her tears constantly. It has to go on and on, hoping for the God of pain getting appeased. Savitri's daily offering of her tears, her ceaseless, uninterrupted sacrifice to the God of pain, uninterrupted sacrifice to the God of pain is entirely in the context of the fierce question of man's hour. Man's hour. She has to relieve that question in herself, relieve in order to get an absolute clinching answer. It is a question of this dreadful mortality which severely limits his spiritual prospects and opportunity. He is man's. His limits his spiritual prospects and opportunity. That question needs to be answered. With it, the moment of truth is arriving for Savitri. She is offering, sacrificing, constantly worshipping that God of pain. He is not happy at all. He is not happy at all. Because the fierce question of life, unless that is tackled, he will not remain satisfied. She is engaged once more in the sacrifice of suffering and desire. So this God is not happy with all that worship and all that. Therefore, Savitri is again engaged in yajna. She is making herself an offering in the yajna. See, this is the most important thing. This power of yajna is what you see here. We have seen earlier also in the end of the first section that there was the consecration and the rite and the yajna, and it is because of yajna that yajna was an invocation for the Supreme to come as an avatar, and therefore he comes here Supreme. Now here Savitri is making a yajna of her life itself, you see. Because this God of pain is not happy, and the power of yajna is that she will get an answer and things will start changing. This is what we see here. She is engaged once more in the sacrifice of suffering and desire, that sacrifice which earth continuously offers to the immortal ecstasy, to Ananda. Earth is constantly offering, but earth's sacrifice, earth's worship is not bearing fruit. It will not bear fruit unless Savitri takes it upon herself, unless Savitri identifies herself with earth and does that yajna of earth in herself, in her own soul. This God of ecstasy will not respond. So Savitri is in fact identifying herself with the sacrifice of the earth. She is engaged once more in the sacrifice of suffering and desire, that sacrifice which earth continuously offers to the mortal ecstasy, to the God of bliss. With Savitri, that sacrifice began again beneath the eternal hand. So that is the whole beauty. Savitri is, this God of pain is not happy. Savitri is making an offering, but now that sacrifice is done under the hand of the Eternal Himself. So that is the magic moment. That is the transforming moment. In other words, Savitri's sacrifice, Savitri who has identified herself with earth, her sacrifice taken over by Savitri, that sacrifice is now in the hands of the Supreme Himself. Supreme has taken the possession of the whole thing. The eternal hand now has taken the possession of the whole thing, you see. Earth continuously offers to the immortal ecstasy, to the god of the, with Savitri, the sacrifice began again beneath the eternal hand. Through her, the eternal hand itself has taken charge of everything now. Yes, Savitri has no worry now. Eternal will do now everything. The eternal hand will carry forward everything. The hour has arrived and must be capitalized. The godlike pain, God of pain, guards the abyss of darkness, but he is also, in a way, the promoter of the possibilities of the immortal spirit manifesting in mortality. See, he will not allow things to happen unless every bit is taken care of. He is guarding that thing. Immortal spirit manifesting in mortality. Like life alone is not sufficient to make that big transformative progress. And there is needed the crucial participation of death. See, the yajna cannot be carried forward unless death participates in that. Life alone cannot achieve that thing. Death must participate. He is a help. He is a help in a certain sense. Death in that sense. That life alone cannot do it. Help is it. Help coming from the inconscient itself. Death from that, inconscient. He is worshipped, but that worship touches him not, touches him the least. He, the god of pain, keep on worshipping. I don't care about, unless I get the full share of my worship. See. He is worshipped, but that worship touches him not. He remains absolutely firm, obdurate. His unshakable concern is to guard the abyss of darkness, so that every bit of darkness is taken care of, you see. Nothing is left there undone. He is one who guards the origin of grief, guards that nothing is left undone in the work of the God of bliss. God of pain cannot be satisfied. He wants to be conquered, wants to be transformed. A higher force must show him who he really is. God of pain. God of pain is an immortal and he cannot be destroyed, he cannot be abolished, he cannot be removed. He is an immortal after all. All that can happen is he can get transformed, but not destroyed. Destroyed. He has to be transformed. He has to be what he was. That is the transformation. The God of bliss, he has to become the God of bliss again, you see. Here in the inconscient, the void, he has become the God of pain. He has to be transformed into God of bliss again, you see. The mask he has borrowed from the void must be pulled off his face. That's the whole thing. Savitri comes to this point because of the body's pain, the body's ache. It is that which has made her aware of all these things. The sense of the physical heightens the existence of the primordial ache, the sense of the physical, the body which is demanding that thing. She, the deep and lingering ache in the body makes Savitri aware of the presence of the God of pain. All thanks to the God of pain. What kind of intensity it must be, the body's pain. And Savitri is to bear that pain. Savitri alone can bear that pain, see. And it is she alone who can bear it in the depths of her luminous calm. You see, in spite of all that, she is always calm, brightly calm. She is never disturbed at all. That never goes away from her. The harshness of this God of divinity forces Savitri that nothing worthwhile and enduring can really advance. Nothing can advance unless he, the God of pain, is turned into the self of bliss. No real progress can occur unless he is turned into God of bliss, into God of bliss. It is for it that the life, that her life, Savitri's life, becomes an altar. Savitri's life becomes an altar and herself a sacrifice. That is the yajna. Savitri has made herself now a yajna. Sacrifice. Nothing can be accomplished without sacrifice, without yajna. Nothing. Savitri sets herself to do it. See, this is the most important event. She sees the god of pain, not satisfied. The hand is there, but unless god of pain is transformed into god of peace, nothing can happen. And in order that that happens, she is now making a sacrifice. She has lit the yajna fire, kindled the yajna fire, the closely packed moment. So now for that now to happen, closely packed moments are marching with tachyonic rapidity. Tachyonic, the speed of light greater, the speed of an object greater than the speed of light. According to Einstein's theory of relativity, no object in the material world can move with the speed of light. But then there are, from the other side, things which can move with a speed much higher than the speed of light, but never reaching the speed of light. Coming down. Tachyonic speed. The closely packed moments are marching with tachyonic speed. Rapidity of the decisive time. Savitri endued the speed and thrust of the event. All these things that are happening rapidly, Savitri is able to endure because of the luminous calm in which she always lives. She is awake, she is ready, she is firmly seated within herself, seated in the dynamism of a strong soul. She looks on this great, smiling, dangerous world and hears the ignorant cry of living things. She sees the forest now, this is a forest kind of a scene, and she sees the winds rustling, the animals moving and crawling, firmly seated within herself, seated in the dynamism of a strong soul. She looks on this great, smiling, dangerous world and hears the ignorant cry of living things. The aeons have gathered themselves into a diamond-like moment, and Savitri rises to confront time and fate. Yes, the noon has arrived. Savitri rises to confront time and fate. Confront however harsh and hostile things might be. Savitri is immobile in herself, and within her soul, she holds a conquering force that can meet any eventuality. Occult yogically, Savitri there now. Splendid, luminous strength. This is the day when Satyavan must die. This is the day Satyavan has to die. We'll read that passage again, I think also. 2.36, 36. Last few sentences. Afflicted by his harsh divinity, bound to his throne, he waited unappeased the daily oblation of her unwept tears, the god of pain. All the fierce question of man's hours relieved. Savitri is reliving the question of man. What is man's question? Question is of life's afflicted roots. How to handle the lives of people. All the fierce question of man's hours relieved. The sacrifice of suffering and desire earth offers to the immortal ecstasy began again beneath the eternal hand. She, awake, she endured the moment Saritma and looked on his green, smiling, dangerous world and heard the ignorant cry of living things. Amid the trivial sound, the unchanging scene, her soul arose, confronting time and pain. Immobile in herself, she gathered force. This was the day when Satyavan must die. So that is the conclusion of the whole passage, you see. This was the day when Satyavan must die. This is the day when Satyavan must die. This is the day when Satyavan has to die. It is a necessity of his birth. The theme of Satyavan's death is introduced right at the beginning of the epic. In the very first canto itself, 341st line of Savitri, they got this. This was the day when Satyavan must die. Beginning of the epic, not will die, but must die. Satyavan will die is not a thing at all, you see. Must die is significant. Everything is quintessenced in it. Everything is gathered in that one single phrase, must die. There is a purpose behind his death, and it is that purpose which is distinctly served by must die. It is in death's tremendous hour that a seed shall be sown. It is a grand celebration of this transformative death. So Satyavan's death is a very welcome kind of a death. It is a celebration of his death, you see. Grand celebration. It is a grand celebration of this transformative death. There will be no Savitri without this must die. If you don't have this must die, you can't have epic Savitri at all. The entire crux is in this phrase, must die. See. And here is now the predestined noon at the predestined spot. Everything is fixed, hour and place. All fixed or arranged in the depths of the green emerald forest. The ancient forest that was created for the great event. Obviously, it is for that purpose the Shalva forest was created, you see. It is in it the issue of primordial love and death is going to be fought and settled here. The war cry has been sounded, the divine conch has been blown, Shankhanad, Panchajanyam, as the Gita says, has been blown. Gods and goddesses have crowded in the sky to witness the battle between Savitri and Yama. Savitri is now a flaming warrior from the eternal being. In her, the great World Mother rises. It is the Divine Mother herself who is rising in her. She is here now in a full occult dynamism. It is because the eternal hand has taken everything in his possession. So all this is happening. The death of Satyavan, or the eternal being seated in the void, or the Supreme Himself in the inconscient creation, or the timeless lover, the second and last death of His makes a beginning with the divine manifestation upon earth. In it, the immortal becomes deathless. He is immortal, but now he is becoming deathless, free of death, you see. Immortal becomes death. Satyavan, 1 year after the marriage with Savitri, will abandon his body, His life here expended. This I am quoting from Mahabharata Savitri, Vyasa Savitri. Satyavan, 1 year after his marriage with Savitri, will abandon his body. His life here expended. His life is over here. Samvatsarena Kshanayura Deha Nyasam Karishyati. Samvatsarena Kshanayura Deha. Samvatsarena, 1 year after. Samvatsara means year. After 1 year. Kshana means his life has become feeble, has become weak. Kshana, Deha. His Deha has become now. He will abandon his Deha. Kshanayur Deha Nyasam Karishyati. He will abandon his body. 1 year completes one full cycle of time. Why 1 year? One full cycle of time. Satyavan and Savitri have lived together through the complete cycle of time, and it is In time that the cycle moves forward. You don't want to repeat the same cycle. Cycle has to move forward. Therefore, to terminate the cycle, he has to die. So that a new cycle begins from that point onward. In time, that cycle moves forward. Thus is the death of Satyavan. That is the death of Satyavan when time has matured up, ripened to the point that greater cycles set into motion. Not only the necessity of death of Satyavan, it is also that Satyavan and Savitri must live together through a cycle of time. It is not that 1 year after death, they have to live together, Satyavan and Savitri must live together through a cycle of time. 1 year around the sun, Samvatsara. Samvatsara means 1 year around the sun. Means 1 year of earth. So that is the identification of earth of Savitri also, you see. We see here as a body, and it is that which is coming to the occult spiritual reckoning. So what is a year after all? Year is a body of man. And when Satyavan is abandoning the body, it means that when after the completion of year, he is abandoning the body, he is abandoning the whole cycle of creation. So the year is the body of time. Year is the body of time. And it is that he is abandoning. Samvatsara, we see year as a body, and it is that which is coming into the occult spiritual reckoning. The sun god Savitra, or in the Puranic tradition, who is Narayana or Vishnu, sun god, Vishnu. He is Vishnu himself. The soul of all the world, he is the soul of all the world. He is a central being. He is situated in outer space between the upper and lower portions of the universe. Upper and lower portions of the universe. The supramental God. He is stationed there between Satchidananda and the triple world of mortality down below. The soul of all the world is situated in outer space between the upper and lower portions of the universe, passing through 12 months on the wheel of time. The sun comes in touch with 12 different signs of the zodiac. 12 different signs of the zodiac. And assumes 12 different names. Each has a name by itself, zodiac name, according to those signs. The aggregate of those 12 months is called a Samvatsara. That is Samvatsara. That sun passing through all the 12 signs of the zodiac, Samvatsara, an entire year. According to lunar calculation, 2 fortnights, one of the waning waxing moon and the other of the waning moon, form 1 month. Now this 1 month, 12 months of this lunar cycle do not make one solar year. Yeah. An entire, according to lunar calculation, 2 fortnights, one of the waxing moon and the other of the waning, turn 1 month, form 1 month. That same period is 1 day and night of the planet Pitraloka, the departed beings. Pitraloka, the departed beings. That is it. According to stellar calculation, a month equals 2 and 1/4 constellations, you see. Because of the different, you see, lunar month is about roughly 29 days. And this is 31 days, you see. So this is different. So therefore, according to the stellar calculation, a month equals 2 and 1/4 constellation. When the sun travels for 2 months, a season passes. One season is made. And therefore, the seasonal changes are considered parts of the body of the year. They are the body of the year. And it is that now is changing, is abandoning, you see. 12 seasons. So in the Indian system, we have got 6 seasons. I told you, summer, then rainy season, then autumn, then winter, then due time, then spring. These are the 6 seasons. Each one roughly or 2 months. And it is that which makes it. Summer, Grishma, rainy season, Varsha, Grishma, Varsha, Sharad, Hemant, Shishir, Vasant. These are the 6 names of the 6 seasons, you see. It is to this one she passes. A month equals 2 and equal quarters constantly. When the sun travels for 2 months, a season passes. And therefore, the seasonal changes are considered parts of the body of the year. Now, therefore, see, in other words, the love of Satyavan and Savitri is experiencing all the aspects of the seasons. Of the summer, of rainy season, of winter, of due time, of winter, all those things. They are experiencing every aspect of the season. When they have matured up in that year, then Satyavan is free to die. Satyavan's death is necessary at that point of time. So, this is the meaning of Samvatsarena Kshinayur Dehanasam Karishyati. Samvatsarena, year. Kshinayur, Kshina means life has become feeble, weak. Kshina. Ayu, life. Deha, body. Dehanyasa, he is abandoning his body. Karishyati, abandoning. Finish. And this is what we got here. This is the day when Satyavan must die. This is the day when Satyavan has to die. Now this has to die. In one of their meetings, Shivandu and his disciples used to gather around in the evening after the accident for first few times, and they used to kind of chit-chat, their gossip sessions, so to say. And on one occasion, Purani asked him about Satyavan and Savitri's story and all that thing. And then Shivandu said that Satyavan has to die. He used the phrase has to die in 1939 or so. And in Savitri we got Satyavan must die, you see. So there you are. I think we have come to a full stop for this canto now.